As of Wednesday, November 15th, according to Slash Film, Pedro Pascal of The Mandalorian and Last of Us and Game of Thrones fame is going to be playing Reed Richards, aka Mr. Fantastic, in the Fantastic Four movie. Now, I said Slash Film because Slash Film is the only outlet that has confirmed it so far. Several scoopers and websites have said that Pedro Pascal has been the favorite for Reed Richards and is close to signing the deal, but only Slash Film so far has reported that it has happened. And I think that is wild, but possible, and mostly good. I'm going to talk about why. So first of all, I think we'll get the full cast later this week, maybe Thursday or Friday. It seems like the other three members of the Fantastic Four, Sue Storm, Ben Grimm, and Johnny Storm, have all been cast. According to the rumors, Vanessa Kirby is playing Sue Storm. Again, this is rumored. I have no confirmation about this, although Vanessa Kirby, Sue Storm has been like the most consistent one of these that I've heard over the last couple of months. Evan Moss-Beric of The Bear and Punisher and Girls is rumored to be playing Ben Grimm, the Thing, and then Joseph Quinn from Stranger Things is rumored to be playing Johnny Storm. And those three, I have not heard much speculation beyond that. It does seem like that's happening. However, our reads have been all over the place recently. Matt Smith, Jake Gyllenhaal, Diego Luna, Adam Driver, a lot of different actors have been up for this role. This is the first I'm hearing of Pedro Pascal. Now, I'm not saying that means he's a bad pick or anything. I'm just saying I'm surprised that we learned about him today. And according to at least one source, he signed up today. This was not something we had heard about before, which, a lot of times they are able to keep this secret. And, it hasn't been officially announced yet, so it did get leaked technically. But a lot of the rest of these guys we've been hearing about for a very long time. And Pedro Pascal, this is first we're hearing about it. I think they're going to wait to release the full cast because they want to make the full announcement together. That makes sense. I think we want at least a deadline article with all four of their faces next to the characters or something, because they're family, they're a team, they're all one cohesive unit. I also think they don't want to kind of jump over the announcement of What If Season 2. They put out a pretty fun looking trailer for that, which apparently there's a poster going around that seems to have a character that very much resembles Justin Hammer, which I think is fascinating. We'll see if that is the case, because if that is the case, then he's going to be fighting the Avengers, or at least he's going to be out of jail in a time when the Avengers are a thing. Now, that doesn't fully line up, right? So maybe this is a universe where Iron Man 2 never happened. I don't know. But I imagine Marvel wants to space these out as much as they can. I mean, also, they don't want to step on Madam Web, the trailer event of the century. The Spunk is back. The Spunk never left, but it is back. And currently it has 3 movies, this, Kraven, and Venom 3 in the lineup, which is more than I could say I would have expected when I heard the announcement of all of these movies. But it's coming. And you know what? It looks fine. Maybe it'll be good. Any movie can look good. The actors in it are good. So, who knows? But I think they want Fantastic Four to have its day. I honestly think Friday makes sense because Fantastic Four Friday. That'll be when but it could be Thursday too. And especially if they've already signed up Pedro Pascal. I don't see why you wait if it's something that everybody's just going to be speculating on for a day. What's the point? But I guess it gives me time to make that video, so I appreciate it, Marvel. I think that this casting is interesting. I don't think he's my favorite Reed. Obviously, I like Chidi, William Jackson Harper. He was my pick. I also like Dev Patel, who's another actor that was rumored recently, who I think would be interesting. But I think we can do a lot worse than Pedro Pascal. He brings a lot of interesting stuff to the table. First of all, he's popular. People like him. There are people who this morning did not care about this Fantastic Four movie who are now quite invested in it, or at least know it exists and are excited about it. And I think that's not nothing, especially at a time now when, people are talking about superhero fatigue and MCU fatigue and stuff like that. Getting this fun, exciting casting announcement, people will be talking about it like Thanksgiving and stuff like that. I don't know, that's pretty good. I think Pedro Pascal as an actor is one of those actors that people want to like. They want him to succeed. And he, so far, seems to be quite successful. Besides Game of Thrones, as we said, Mandalorian is a humongous hit, and Last of Us is a humongous hit. Last of Us getting a second season coming up soon. Mandalorian, you would assume there will be more of that. I don't think he could show up in the House of the Dragon show. He probably hasn't been bored yet, so probably won't be too busy with that. But I think he's on the hook for the new Gladiator movie. He seems busy, but some of those roles you don't have to be as involved in as you would expect. Mandalorian's a good example. He doesn't have to be on set every day. Because I do think if he is Reed Richards and they are making that movie next year, that's probably going to be his main priority for a while. You'd expect, because that's such a big role, and it is an ensemble. You want these actors in the room together. You want chemistry. So I think that, this will take up a lot of his time. Now, that being said, I think they can work with him, especially with Mandalorian, because this is Disney and they're making both things. This is not a Henry Cavill, has a mustache and they have to digitally edit it out because the other studio doesn't want him to shave his mustache. Like, these are the same studio. They want both these to be successful. Speaking of mustache, while Reed Richards sometimes has a beard, he is not known for having just a mustache. He's either beard or clean shaven. I think we've seen Pedro Pascal with the clean shaven look in Wonder Woman 84, a movie that everyone forgets he's in, including myself. And we've seen him with like more facial hair in Last of Us, but I wonder where you go if you have him shave it off or go full beard, because I don't know. It's a good look, but it's not one we see from him too often. But I think this casting tells us really two things. The most important thing is there's a couple different kinds of Mr. Fantastic you can be, right? And this character has been around for 60 plus years or something. He's changed a lot. He has been an adventurer. He has been like an inventor, a real big nerd, and he's been a dad. He's also been a villain. That's something that they could do in the future, is like do Ultimate Reed Richards and have him be the Maker, which would be funny because he'd have a helmet on, just like the Mandalorian. But the idea that like we could get, like I said, Yoan Gruffett and Miles Teller, when they cast both of them as Mr. Fantastic, we were getting nerd. We were getting like super genius, somewhat cold, not incredibly, likable, not known for having like great social skills, and not known for being incredibly brave, right? They're not like an adventurer type, like Indiana Jones or whatever. I think that Pedro Pascal, while he does have that adventurer, vibe from being a character like Mandalorian, I think his big trait right now is he is a dad. That is what you expect from Last of Us, Mandalorian. Like, he has a little kid that he takes care of. Now, Mr. Fantastic has children in the comics and has for a while, Franklin Richards and Valeria Richards. There are rumors we've heard for a while that Franklin and Valeria will already exist when this movie starts. And I think casting Pedro Pascal in this role somewhat confirms that. Like, I think that makes it more likely. If they cast a very young Mr. Fantastic, I'd be like, I don't know if they're going to do the kids thing. But if they cast a Mr. Fantastic who is older and known for playing a dad, I think that makes the idea that Franklin and Valeria already exist very likely. I think that means that we probably also already have a Fantastic Four with powers that have had powers for a while. Because in the comics and stuff, they get their superpowers, do a lot of stuff, and then have kids. Now, you could tweak the origin so that they have kids and then they go up into the cosmic storm and get powers, but I don't know. I just don't see why you bother. And I think it makes sense, especially after we've already seen 2 Fantastic Four origins on screen, to just skip the origin here and have them already have superpowers. I'd say there's 2 other things about Pedro Pascal that are worth mentioning. One, he's Hispanic. That's interesting. Reed Richards not usually Hispanic, and I don't think Reed Richards is like, Captain America or Iron Man, where like his whiteness is like an essential part of him. I do think that that can be an angle you play, where like he is what you would expect from this all-American dad who seems like he's really got it together, but then he doesn't. Like that's a version of this story you could tell. But at the same time, like I think you could change the race of Mr. Fantastic very easily. That was what I wanted to do with William Jackson Hart. But just in general, I think that the race Mr. Fantastic does not matter. In the bigger context of telling a story that is in the spirit of the character, which is always what's important, right? You don't have to tell the exact same story as in the comics, but I do think you need to get the spirit of the character right. I think the other thing that's interesting about this Mr. Fantastic, if it's Pedro Pascal, there is an age gap. Now, that's something that has been true of Reed in the comics. Like, this will mean Reed Richards is more than 10, maybe like 13 or 14 years older than Sue, but that's not unheard of. Sometimes they're around the same age, sometimes he is older. I don't really have strong feelings about it. I do think that like I would have liked them to be the same age, but I think this, if anything, gives him a little bit more of a reason to not get along with Johnny, right? Maybe he really likes Sue and they're like on the same page, but Johnny is like kind of from a different generation, and for that reason, he and Reed just don't connect. I think that makes sense. I don't know how old Evan Moss Barrack is, but he's supposed to be friends with Reed, or like him and Reed have a relationship that I don't think he's like. It'd be crazy to assume they can be around the same age. And also, I think you can be friends with people that aren't your age. So Evan Moss Barrack, and I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that last name right, 46. So this lends even more credence to the possibility of this rumor being true. They can have grown up together, went to school together, been friends, and then both joined on the Fantastic Four. I think overall, this is a good thing. Pedro Pascal surely can play some version of Reed, right? He's not like an actor who I don't think could ever play that role. I do think we haven't seen him play a big nerd yet. At least I haven't. So curious how that plays out, but I'm sure he can manage it. And it's like, if there's an actor who I didn't expect in this role, but Sarah Finn thinks it's a good idea, then I'm with her because she's been right about this, forever. It's kind of the same thing with James Gunn when he casts an actor. I'm like, maybe that wasn't what I expected, but he's been great so far, so I completely trust him. So yeah, I think we'll get an announcement about this soon. I'm excited, cautiously optimistic for this movie, and check back on this channel. I'll have more to talk about later. Goodbye, everybody.